Hey, everybody, I got a guy on the channel. He a nice guy. He not mad at me because I ain't gonna lie to you. I never lied to you, my friends. I was late coming on. My man hit me an email. He Twittered me. He Facebooked me. He Instagrammed me. He did everything saying, where are you? Because I'm here. I ain't gonna tell you, something happened. And I hit him up. He said, all right, give me 5 minutes. This is how bad he wants to share this history with you, my friends. It's burning on his heart. And I'm so excited that I come up with an option so that he can do it. My name is Anthony Brogdon. I am not always late, my friends. But at times I'm late. Because let me tell you something, I got a lot of stuff going on right now. Everybody does when you moving and shaking and you grooving and you hitting and you missing. I'm putting on my own festival in Quindaro, Kansas. It's called Freedom Festival. I want 1,000 of you brothers and sisters of across the country, and even if you come from overseas, you're gonna have it's gonna be well worth it to meet me in Quindaro. Memorial Day weekend, May 27th through the 29th, 2022. I'm gonna have a party for you. We're gonna party in a barn or outside or something where we can feel that vibe. So wear your dusty clothes. We're gonna, next day on Saturday, we're gonna have a tour of the town, because what happened was, and it's a video on my channel, Quindaro is across the Missouri River from the state of Missouri. Missouri was a slave state, and Kansas wasn't. They used to walk across the water. I bet you some of them swam. And when I say walk, it froze. When they got to Quindaro, they set up and told them slave catchers, you come over here, we're gonna shoot back. Don't come over here, it's over. I done got mine. And so I don't hear stories where they did. And the one story, the guy I interviewed, his great-great-grandfather was one of them brothers who walked over there, swam or however he got there. But in any event, then he opened up a business and got some money and provided for his family. Give us an opportunity, we'll take it all away. That's what we do. Anybody do. People like us, all right? So I got that going on. How about this? I'm letting y'all, I'm holding my man up, but he seems like he ain't no big football fan. Like I'm not no more, so we can do this.
No.
I'm shooting a movie, and I wrote the script. Watch me. It's a movie called Foot Soldiers. It's about a 16-year-old teenager, black kid growing up without his father. You're gonna get to hear how he feels, the pain he feels not having his father in his life. And what happens is, and I ain't gonna tell you the whole thing, what happens is a mentor, a black man, steps in his life and turns his life around. That's my movie. It's called Foot Soldiers. Check me out. The Facebook page is called Foot Soldiers. I'm starting me a crowdfunding because I need to raise a few dollars. And it'll be on Foot Soldiers. There's a clip, because I had it as a play that did very well here in Detroit. This has got to be 5, 6 years ago. This is how I got into all this online stuff. I did the play, and then I did the documentary, The Great Detroit. That came out in 2014. It's on Amazon. And then I did the documentary, Business in the Black. That's what this is, my friends. This came out in 2017. 75 powerful minutes of how slaves went to college, slaves who made money owning businesses. There were black people in the 1800s that were wealthy. They were wealthy. I list about 8 of them in my movie that they were really millionaires of the day. Watch my movie on Amazon, and then that's what got me to writing my book. I follow through on mine, my friends. I come up with an idea, I follow through. So I wrote this book. It took me 2 years to add some of the information from the movie and a lot more, because it's over 200 facts. I tell you all the ways slaves got their freedom. And did you know there were some slaves who sued for it? They went to court and said, Uncle Man, get me up under this guy. He wrong. And here's a law that I heard about that says I should be free. Found somebody to represent them in court. It's in my book and a whole lot more. I don't tell the people the price on it, but you're gonna be amazed because I'd rather you have it than me. I got boxes in my basement and I'm ready to ship them out. All right, so watch my movie, read my book, go to my website, businessintheblack.net. That's the website. Every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. I just choose a school in some of them urban areas. All right, and I've donated, oh man, about 70, 80 books so far, 90 books, something like that. You hear me use that word strong a lot, right? This word is most appropriate for my guests. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And I know that's what this man is because he got this on his heart. He's a cool dude. I've had people tell me, man, this guy is on point. Have him on your show. Here he is. Come on, brother, introduce yourself. Let's get it on, you strong man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that excellent introduction, my brother. My name is Donald Peeples. I am a public adult librarian at Brooklyn Public Library. I'm a writer, author, and poet. And I'm a lifelong resident of Jamaica, New York.
Oh, really? Okay. We're gonna talk a little bit about you there. Did you grow up in Jamaica, New York?
Yes, I did.
You know, growing up in New York, there's a lot of Black history that come through there. And yes. I'm sure through Jamaica, just being New York, did that influence you to be who you are? Your background, your surroundings?
Well, part of it. My late aunt, Rogina Peeples, fostered the love for education into me from a young age. I didn't talk until the age of 5. And I was taught to have, I didn't talk. Well, I'm going to put it out there, and a lot of people know my grandfather really did not want me to talk. He was a man from Alabama and West Virginia. He came from a time when children were seen but not heard.
I've heard a lot of that.
Yeah, and I wanted to explore my surroundings like all children do. And I just was told if I just couldn't speak English, I'm not making this up, don't speak.
Wow. Where does that come from do you think it's the fear of maybe a kid saying the wrong thing in front of the white man that they might have felt that? Where does that come from? Can you imagine?
I can imagine my grandfather coming from that era, because again, he grew up in Bessemer, Alabama. He went into the military during the 1950s, and he went through a lot of racial things.
Did something happen to him? Do you know any story?
I believe that when he was in the military, I believe that some white men, they did something to him with needles, because when we would go to get our physicals at the clinic, he was terrified of needles.
Wow. Which, really is reflective of the mind, how the mind triggers when things happen to it. And that triggered down to all the way to your generation, which made him feel the way he felt, which affected you, that you had to overcome that obstacle in some respects.
Yeah, and I was teased a lot as a little boy because I was thought to have been slow. Because even when I went to school, I remember going to kindergarten at a school called PS50. It's still right here in Jamaica. The teacher, who was white, told my grandparents that I was slow and I was never going to learn. And a lot of times our grandparents and parents back in the day, especially when white authority figures would tell them something about their children or grandchildren, a lot of Black parents believed
Yeah, I got
what the
you.
white authorities
I
told
got
them
you.
about their children. But I wasn't slow. I understood everything around me. I just didn't talk.
I got you.
So I developed a stutter.
Okay.
I began speaking maybe at 5 and 6,
Okay.
but I noticed the stuttering coming at the age of 7.
Uh, uh, if that's the case, when did you overcome that?
I'm
When
gonna
did you
say the
say, I gotta say
stuttering.
something, man? People, I
Oh,
gotta break through this.
well, I think I'm gonna say to overcome the stuttering, like the mindset of it. I'm gonna say maybe somewhere in my 30s. I'm gonna say because I had a lot of issues with stuttering. I had a lot of issues with how people perceived my stuttering because I always felt like I had to fight everyone. I had to always show people that I'm smart, I'm educated, I'm not dumb because people do walk around with their stereotypes of
I
what
got you.
stuttering is. The stuttering is not really discussed in the African American community as much. Although a lot of our great African Americans like James Earl Jones, Byron Pitts, um, Bob Love, if you know of him, Kenyon Martin, a lot of great African Americans. Steve Harvey. I can give you a list of Black people who have studied and do stutter.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but it's not really discussed in our communities because it's like when we're Black people talking about the fact that we're discriminated against still, we're still going through a whole bunch of issues
Yeah, sure.
because of race, and to put um disabilities or
Right.
special needs to that table, that's like it's a double, triple, or quadruple um barrier.
Right. So did you get good grades in high school?
Yes, I was a A/B student. When I was a sophomore at John Down High School in Flushing, Queens, I had an 85. I had an 85 average. I was offered to go to Germany for a student exchange program with some other Black students, but my grandmother couldn't afford it, and I wasn't really sure if she wanted a German person in a home.
Yeah.
Uh, at that time, so I
Yeah.
didn't even go. My junior year, my grades kind of suffered because I was going through some maternal family issues because I was raised by my paternal family,
Okay.
and so when my mother's family came back into my life, there was just a lot of
Yeah, I
a
got
lot
you.
of stuff,
Yeah.
and my grades suffered, but my grades rebounded by the time it became a senior.
And did you go to college?
Yes, I went to City College, CCNY, for both my undergraduate and graduate
Got
studies.
your master's.
Yes, I got 2 masters. I got
Listen
my
at
first
this,
master's.
everybody.
Yeah, excuse me.
I told them, everybody listen to this. Everybody
Yeah,
who watching me, listen, my man got 2 masters.
I got 2. One from City College for history. I wasn't really sure how I was going to use the history. Well, I wanted to become a teacher. I went to the New York City teaching fellow. I was rejected from it along with a lot of other applicants. And then I got my second master's at Pratt Institute for library and information science.
And so now you do what as a
I,
career?
I am a public adult librarian for Brooklyn Public Library.
And you're around books all the time.
Yes, all the time, as you can see
Yeah.
in the back. I have more books in my bedroom and on my coffee table right behind me.
Can you imagine if you could think back what it would be like for Black people to really want to learn how to get an education back in the day? How important that was. You follow me?
Yes.
Is there and maybe there's a correlation to how important you thought it was? given what other people said?
Yes, it's very important. It was very important for our people back in the day to obtain an education. Because we're coming from slavery where learning to read and write was punishable. It was on the law. It was on the law that it was illegal for a Black person to read and write.
Right.
I remember I read how in North Carolina in 1830, it was on the books that it was a crime for a Black person to read and to write. And I'm sure that you know about that particular history. So on many of the plantations, if not all, they were Black people who were secretly given the room to read. But that was on a case by case study. But overall, we were prohibited from reading and writing because reading and writing meant that, okay, you know what? There's a world out there. I'm not just a slave. I'm not just an enslaved person. I'm not just here to clean after people, to take people's abuse. So education is very important. And the fact that people know the price, the power of education. My Aunt Rogina, who was the first person in my household to graduate from college. She graduated from John Jay College of Criminal Justice here in New York.
Okay.
She was like my earliest model. And I get kind of a little emotional talking about Rogina because she did it. My other family members, they didn't really see the value of me learning to read and write because they were told there was nothing that they could do because when you have white educators telling you, oh, your son or grandchild cannot do it because of imposed or alleged disabilities, you can't do it. So education is so she exposed me to libraries, museums, books. She even let me play on her Commodore 64. We're taking it back. We're taking it back to Commodore 64. The predator of all of this internet stuff. Whenever she went to her job, she worked at a company called Money in Midtown Manhattan. She used to go to Coliseum Books. A lot of people may not know what Coliseum Books was, but it was like I'm gonna say like an independent bookstore.
Yeah. I got one more question on you that just popped in my when something inside of you said, I got to overcome this and get my education. And we can relate that to what we just said a minute ago of what those enslaved said. Something said, I don't care, I'm putting my life on the line because like everybody in my book, I cite examples of Blacks having a school that floated on a raft, the Floating Freedom School. You yourself had to come up with some ways to say, I got to even overcompensate.
Yeah, because it was just growing up in Jamaica, Queens. We talking about the 1980s. I've had people who I knew go on to drugs, and I tell people this: my mother and my father were both substance abuse users. I'm very frank about that.
Yeah.
But I was raised by my father's people, but I saw friends, associates, their families going through substance abuse, especially with the introduction of crack. I saw that. And I always told myself I wanted to be an artist, a cartoonist. I drew a lot when I was a little boy.
Yeah.
My grandmother, my aunt, they encouraged me with drawing. They would buy me drawing sheets, magic markers, Crayola. But my aunt, she would buy me books. She would buy me, books because she saw it in me that I wanted to be. My grandfather was in the household, but he was emotionally distant.
I got you.
I mean, he made sure we didn't go hungry. We didn't go through any stuff, but my aunt was the one who really pushed education. I mean, she showed me what it meant to study, because I had to learn that too. A little boy, I want to spend time with my aunt, but my aunt had to study.
Yeah.
So,
and I got one more question on you then. They were all at your graduations? I know, did the aunt saw you graduate?
Yes. She went to my she both went to my high school. I mean, did she go to? I think she went to my junior high my high school and my undergrad college graduations. Yes, so did my grandmother. My grandfather came to my junior high. He died in 1993, so I was in high school when he died.
I got you. I got you. As we move along the timeline, there was a particular story that you wanted to share with us on the Black History tip.
Yes, I am working on a project to document the history of Blacks in the soap opera industry.
Okay.
I watched, yeah.
Okay, tell us about it.
Okay, I am working on this a book to tell the stories that mainstream soap opera industry doesn't really tell. Yes, the mainstream soap opera industry talks about the popular Black actors like Darnell Williams, Debbie Morgan, Christoph St. John, Victoria Rowell, maybe James Reynolds, Renee Jones, Shamar Moore, and a few other ones who were put out there in the mainstream. But there are many other stories of Black soap opera history that many people don't even have a clue about.
Okay.
And what mainstream soap opera history likes to do is go back to the 1960s as the start of everything, of being introduced onto the soaps by soap opera legends Bill Bell Sr. and Agnes Nixon, who I respect, but I want to take us away from that narrative that white people from the bottom of the heart put us out there from the bottom of their heart.
Okay, hold on. You said something. You said I respect in a certain way. There's something behind that?
I respect Bill Bell Sr. and Agnes Nixon.
Who is he and what happened?
Okay, they were two white soap opera creators who were taught by Erna Phillips, who was considered the queen of the soap opera genre. They studied under her, and what happened was—
This is when?
Oh, we talk about the 1960s.
Okay, the 60s. That's the beginning of soap operas.
Not really. No, because I want to argue that our participation in it goes way back to the beginning.
Okay, go ahead.
Because our participation really goes back to the beginning of the soap opera industry. A couple of years even before Erna Phillips started.
Okay, let me stop there. When is the beginning then? If you say it's not the
1920s. The 1920s. Yeah.
And now in the 20s, TV is having regular, is it still just black and white? Is there audio or what?
No, in the 1920s, radio. Everything started on radio.
So soap opera started on the radio.
Yes.
I got you. Okay, cool. Okay, go ahead. I like it.
And the mainstream soap opera historians would say that Amos and Andy is the predator of the soap opera genre. So if you're saying Amos and Andy is the predator, so that means that you're really saying that the story of two Black men during the Great Migration was one of the predators of the genre.
Is that what Amos and Andy was about?
Yeah, Amos and Andy were two Black men migrating from the South. They came from Alabama. But the interesting thing about Amos and Andy was that it was originally named Sam and Henry. And that started in 1926. They were played by two white men in blackface, Charles Carell and Freeman Gosden. But what happened? There was a radio station dispute with the copyright of the name. So it was changed to Amos and Andy in 1928 on radio.
Okay, hold on, let me stop you there. I don't mean no harm. I do this because why they had to be in blackface if it's on the radio?
Yeah, because these were two white men playing black characters.
So they had to kind of psych people out?
Yeah, because a lot of times, because on the radio you can't see them, but right. When they made their appearances at
I got you.
Meet and greet, media appearances.
Yes.
Then when it was revealed that these were two white men who were blackface performers. When Black people started to find out, you had people like there was a lot of opposition from the Urban League under Whitney Young.
I got you.
There was some opposition like, why is this happening? The NAACP, interestingly, did not protest it when they were on radio. But when they made the move to television during the 1951-1952 season, that's when the NAACP protested Amos and Andy.
Okay, so now what you're saying is, and we're gonna go back to the radio in the beginning of soaps, but like you say, this Amos and Andy, they started out on radio, and then they went to TV. Was it the same two actors?
No, when Amos and Andy went on to television, they were played by African American actors.
Oh, so two black guys played the role when it got on TV.
Yes.
Oh, I got you. How big was Amos and Andy on the radio?
Oh, Amos and Andy was a very popular. It was one of the most popular shows of all time in radio history.
But okay, if it's popular in radio, was radio at that point now able to be streamed, or they were just popular in New York because that's where the radio station was?
No, they were popular. Because I believe the station where they came out of, I believe it came out of Chicago.
Okay.
But
people around the country could hear them?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were syndicated for.
Yeah. They were very popular. See, the interesting thing about Amos and Andy was that it was a serial. It was a continuing storyline until about 1943 when it became a comedy.
I got you.
Yeah,
so now, where does black people come into that, Amos and Andy, when they come on TV?
Well, from 1943, that's when some of the black actors came and joined on when it was on radio. But when it came on to television, the same black actors who joined the show in radio in 1943, they transferred over on into television.
Oh, I got you. Now, are you saying that's the beginning of blacks in soaps, or it's more than that?
Oh, there's more than that. Amos and Andy, Amos and Andy is thought to have been a situation comedy, but it wasn't always a situation comedy. It started off in the serial form. There was a storyline in which Andy was accused of bigamy. He was dating I believe her name was Madam Queen. It was a trial. It was actually a trial of bigamy. People tuned in to hear that. That was I'm gonna say during the 1930s. I believe 1931 or 32.
Okay.
It was a sensation. People scheduled their radio time to listen to this story to see, was Andy going to go to jail or not. It ended up that Andy was innocent. Madam Queen already had a husband already. But the fact that many people tuned in, but there were other soap operas at that time in which black people were just the comic relief, the servants, and the butlers. And and then there were some white actors who played black roles.
Okay, now hold on. Now you say they were the servants. They on radio or on TV?
On radio.
On radio. Okay, and so so that's the beginning. So if a black guy was a servant, he said something. That's his role on the radio show.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
When did it go from servants to maybe something more significant, or what's some of the more popular soap operas with black people?
Oh, I'm going to tell you that. So going through the radio years, transferring over to TV, the 1950s when television started to become the #1 medium. You really didn't see black people on the television soaps. 1950s television soaps were white. I would say during the 1960s, there was a soap opera on television on CBS, The Brighter Day. They integrated the daytime soaps with the actor Rex Ingram. He came on to play a reverend, but by the time, it was already confirmed that he was coming to integrate The Brighter Day. Once that announcement was made, The Brighter Day was canceled.
So it never did happen.
We never got the chance to see Rex, but he was cast. It was confirmed. But as soon as that was to happen, Brighter Day was taken off the air at CBS, and that was 1962.
Okay.
And so during the 60s, there was a black actor named J.P. Sidney.
Okay.
He advocated, he boycotted television because he wanted Black people to get roles on television. It was a lot of unions. There was an actress named Frances Foster. She was advocating for Black people to come on soaps, other programming.
Okay.
Because at the time on television, it was hard to get a Black person to do dramatic roles. Sammy Davis Jr. was one of the first actors to, I think he was the first Black actor to do a dramatic role on primetime TV.
Okay.
So this counteracts all of the arguments that, okay, Agnes Nixon, from the bottom of our heart, oh, let's just put Black people on my soaps, because she was writing for Guiding Light at the time in 1965, and then you have Mickey Grant, who just passed away. She was integrated onto Another World. That was one of Agnes Nixon's soaps, Another World as well.
If you got one Black actor on a soap, and all these other people are very wealthy, do they make this person wealthy, or again, all of them got to play the servants and the maids and that kind of thing? What kind of role can they play?
Well, during the 1960s, when the Black characters were being integrated, they were doing mostly service type of roles, secretaries, hospital administrators, like in the case of One Life to Live with Lillian Heyman, who played Sadie Gray. She was the head of the housekeeping services, like service type of work in the 60s. Doctors.
I got you. And so as we go up the timeline, wasn't there a Black soap? It was all Black cast. I think I remember that.
Well, there were several Black soaps even on the radio. Here Comes Tomorrow, by Richard Dunham. I'm sorry, Richard Durham, excuse me. Okay. He was the one who also did Destination Freedom on radio. That was 1945. And then there was a Black soap there was a station called the National Negro Network, the story of Ruby Valentine. That starred Juanita Hall, Ruby Dee, Early Hyman, and some other black actors.
Hold on, that didn't last about long. That. You say the Black Radio Network? What did you just say?
Oh, it was a station called the National Negro Network. That was started by Lennox W. Evans. That was a response to the industry recognizing that they were Black consumers. They were Black people spending money.
And so this was
this was during the 1950s, between 1952 and 1956. There were studies showing that they're Black consumers, they're making money. But you have to think, many of those Black military veterans came home from World War II.
Right. And
so the 50s was when, Black people were starting to move into the suburbs little by little. So you had all of this Black buying power. So the radio stations are like, whether they were owned by white or Black, had to figure out, we gotta create some stuff, because this is buying market now. So the story of Ruby Valentine has been cited in all of these books about the National Negro Network. That was on, and then there was another show with with the actress named Hilda Sims, and then I think a mystery show with Tab Calloway. Oh, really? And then there was supposed to have been a fourth show with Ethel Waters, but it never happened. I think that it unfolded because because the story about Ruby Valentine took place with it took place in the beauty salon business. A woman, I think a woman was she was leaving her marriage to start anew, and she owned a beauty salon. Okay. And so when we talk about, for my viewers and myself, when you talk about a soap opera on the radio, really what you're just talking about is a show that portrays some kind of life scenarios that and they go over this, and they do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, a half an hour to portray this.
life scenario. That's the soap.
Yes,
I got
yes,
you.
soaps, yeah.
Are there blacks that have been recognized in various Hall of Fame, soap opera Hall of Fames or something like that over the years?
Oh yes, from the 1960s, Ellen Holly, who played Carla Gray Benari Hall. She was a character who passed for white on One Life to Live. Many viewers did not know that Carla was actually black.
Oh, really? And she
Yeah,
kept it quiet too.
yeah, she kept it quiet as the character for several months going into 1969.
When did it come out?
The show came,
I'm
well, the
talking about
show,
her. When was she out at that age?
oh, she was outed in 1969. There was a scene in which she was coming, women, her mother Sadie, who I talked about before, the head of housekeeping at Landview Hospital.
Yeah.
She was coming home. And I think Carla went to visit a neighbor of theirs named a white woman named Anna Wallach. Anna Wallach was to visit her, and when on her visit, she ran into Sadie, and Sadie called Carla's real name Clara.
Oh.
And in 1969, that was huge. But what happened was, when before that, when Carla was kissing on a black doctor, a Texas affiliate of ABC canceled the show right on the spot.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at Carla as a white woman kissing on a black man in 1968.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the Texas affiliate canceled the show.
You mentioned the national radio network. There were black radio stations around America, probably, I don't know, going back to maybe the 40s or 50s. Did any of them ever produce a soap opera?
Yes, like I have mentioned, there was a black soap opera called Here Comes Tomorrow that came out in 1945.
Yeah. Okay.
Created by Richard Durham. Richard Durham also did Destination Freedom, and
What is Destination Freedom?
Yeah, Destination Freedom was a radio show highlighting historical contributions of African Americans.
Okay.
And then he went on to write for Playboy. He wrote for Muhammad Speaks, and he also did a public television soap opera called The Bird of the Iron Feather, based out of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
And then there were other radio soaps that came along the way. In 1974, there was a radio show called Sounds of the City.
Okay.
It was on the Mutual Black Network. It starred Ozzie Davis, Ruby Dee, Robert Gilliam, we know as Benson.
Right.
Lawrence Hilton Jacobs.
Yeah.
And it was created by a black woman named Shanelia Perry, who was the cousin of Lorraine Hansberry.
Oh, and they were based out of where?
Sounds of the City. It came out of New York, actually.
Oh, really?
But it was syndicated.
Oh,
as
we kind of come to a close. There was a black-owned soap opera at one time. I remember this.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna fast forward to 1989.
Yeah.
The first soap that had a poor black family and a poor white family, Generations.
Yes.
That was on NBC.
Right.
It came out here on I'm gonna say 11:30. Came on 11:30 here in New York. There's gonna be a little Generations reunion on this soap opera show called The Locker Room on Wednesday.
How long did they run?
The Generations ran for 2 years. And it was a combination of why it didn't last long. Because at first, the storylines were kind of slow. Like every soap, when it begins, the storylines are going to be slow. They're not going to be fast and fast-paced. They have to find its footing. I was told by the executive producer, Sally Sussman, that Generations was aired at different times of the day and night by different NBC affiliates. The president, Brandon Tartikoff, he advocated for generations, but after he left NBC, whoever the entertainment president was really didn't advocate for it. And then they ran against the Young and the Restless in some time markets. So to go against the Young and the Restless in the time markets, and then NBC promoted it. It was promoted. But then there was a lot of racial under overtones as well, because 1989, the soap operas were still having a stereotypical Black characterization. Right. So to have a soap in which, okay, you got a Black family as the core family. Yeah. You got Henry running an ice cream dynasty. Ruth is out there. Going with the Perks. Her mother was the housekeeper of the White family, the other family, the Whitmores. Henry and Ruth were from the Marshall family, and it was canceled in, and it was starting to get good. They had to get Debbie Morgan. Oh, Debbie Morgan quit On My Children to get over there. Debbie Morgan was Angie. Angie on My Children. So she went to Generation because she felt at that time Generations was going to give her more equity as a Black actress. Right. So as soon as it was about to get good, NBC decided to cancel it. All the episodes ran on BET. Right after it was canceled by NBC. Yeah, sure so did. There was I think there was some rumors that maybe BET was going to produce some first run episodes, but it never came to be. And a lot of people say, oh, that was the first Black soap opera. No, it was the first soap opera to have a whole Black family from the beginning on TV.
As we kind of come, how did you what made you choose this topic?
I chose this topic because I'm a lifelong soap opera watcher. My grandmother Sally and my aunt Rogina introduced me to the stories. They were ABC soap fans. All My Children is the best soap opera ever in my eyes. I read about the genre in magazines like Soap Opera Digest, Soap Opera Update, Soap Opera Weekly. Yes. But when talking about the Blackness of it, I thought about it when in 1998, when I started having lunchtime conversations with a friend of mine named Daryl Moore at City College. We would have lunch talking about the status of Blacks at that time on all of the soaps in 1998, going into 1999. So I did this as a master's thesis at City College.
Now, how much further you got to go to finish the book and so on and so forth? I mean, is there much more research? Because, how much could it be out there? You probably could have it all. Is it, what's left?
I still have to order some old back issues of it. I'm doing a lot of reading of the genre. I'm reading biographies, autobiographies, novels, and then I want to watch some sitcoms, movies, and all that stuff. And I'm still in the interviewing process, so because I want to wrap this up next year. I'm not going to get everything. Whatever issues I can. Yeah, whichever issues I can get, whatever I can get, whoever wants to who wants to interview, I'm going with that. Okay. Yeah, so I have a lot.
How do people contact you and stay in contact? You have a website and that kind of thing?
Oh, I am all on social media. I am on Facebook, Twitter, and
under what?
Instagram.
What's the handles?
Oh boy. The handle on Twitter is Donald Jr. Peoples.
Yeah.
On Instagram is Donald Peoples Jr. And I'm on Facebook just as Donald Peoples.
Okay. Well, that's your personal one. Is there a question that I have not asked you? Something that you wanted to talk about in particular? I just really wanted to say of how from the 1960s the Black characters had to work as nurses, doctors, lawyers to show people that they can kind of integrate, but they wasn't really fully integrated. The 1980s was that time in which Black men all came from the street. They dated these Black middle-class women. The Black middle-class women had fathers who were very staunch, very we call bougie, and then some of them dabbled in some little shady criminal underworld stuff too. The 1990s was that I call it the politically correct
decade in which all of this diversity had to come on, because all of these responses, Black people in the 80s. I don't want to see this. I want to see other stuff.
Yeah.
So during the 90s, they were these soap operas having all of Black people, Latino people, Asian people, Middle Eastern, Native American people, LGBTQ people as well. The 2000s, the Black participation kind of waned a little bit.
Okay.
So like mid 2000s, 2010, Black characters interracially dating, interracially marrying.
Yeah.
They were more integrated more in the towns. Although some of the characterizations were kind of still off. And like now the soap opera genre is just going through a lot of stuff now with the writing, the direction, and if the soap opera genre is gonna last. People blame O.J. Simpson for messing up the soaps.
Really?
Yeah, they blame his trial preempted the soaps from 1994 to 1995, and a lot of those audiences left and never really came back. And now we have like 2,000 channels. We have 2,000 choices now, because back then we had the major three: CBS, ABC, NBC.
Yeah.
So now there are many choices of, and then you can DVR your shows. You can stream your social. You can watch them at any time of the day or night.
Yeah, I got you. But as we kind of come close, when we would have to say Generations was the pinnacle of it all for Black people.
Yes, Generations was that pinnacle, and I would argue that it influenced Tyler Perry. Yeah. It influenced Empire.
Yeah.
It influenced a lot of these other Black soap operas or original scripted programming. It was a game changer. It just didn't give a chance to grow and mature. But I believe that now that because many people have wanted Generations to come, they wanted to come back as a reboot.
Yeah.
It would work now, but in 1989,
I got you.
People were not ready to see. Okay, we're going from ghettoizing our Black characters, having them coming on like every Wednesday, or just having them as the best friends to the white characters who did, and they didn't have any lives of their own, or they were just the criminals or the under fives.
I got you. Everybody, this is what I do on Strong Inspirations. I find these brilliant, expert, super smart men and women, and I let them tell the stories. And my man really got personal with us, everybody, when he went to the family thing. He got personal. He shared some stuff out of his background that helped us understand who he is. That's why I do that when I do these interviews. A lot of times, in all of them, I ask, hey man, who are you, first of all? Let's get to know you just a tad. And he shared that with us on Strong Inspirations. Come on, hit that subscribe button. It's free. I don't ask no information. And I want 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year. I'm at 560. So everybody tell 10 people and we there. I want like this video, because you understand and you saw how he felt. Somebody told him don't say anything, and he broke through that. And he talks a lot now. He's a talker and got 2 masters. Dig that. I want you to hit the notification bell when the videos come up, and I'm doing 4 or 5 videos a week and I'm posting them. And there's no specific time, because it just hits me and it's on my heart. Oh man, it's time to put something out there. I don't think I'll do a time frame. Too much pressure on me. And then everybody tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Come on, people, watch my movie. You know, it's good. It's on Amazon. Definitely read the book. Let me help donate books to schools across the country. I appreciate you for doing that. Get that autograph. And with that, I'll say, everybody, so long. We out. Peace. Stay strong.